Party people, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by Akemi, aka Ninja Penguin AM, for a game of LUMEN RYDER Core. LUMEN RYDER Core is a tactical, light, flavor-heavy tokusatsu tabletop role-playing game in which you play masked superheroes and their eclectic group of allies battling an evil organization. It's inspired by tokusatsu shows like Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Samurai Flamenco, Metal Hero, and Spider-Man. And y'all, this game hits the vibe with perfection. I loved playing this game. The combat in particular really shined and felt like I was watching a Kamen Rider show. The game is good. I had so much fun playing with it. I really think you're going to love the story we told. And you should absolutely pick up your own copy at bubblegumsam.itch.io or check the show notes for more information. Akemi is a prolific maker and player of tabletop games. She has designed a bunch of games, including Frills of Justice and Friendship about magical girls and Searching for My Soulmate, that's SOLE, a game where you play as a lost sock that has fallen through a magical portal, which is genuinely one of the best premises I've heard in a very long time. You can find more of their work at ninjapenguinam.itch.io, or you can follow them on Twitter at ninjapenguinam. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. I am thrilled, so excited. I'm sitting down with Akemi today. Akemi, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Hi, I'm super excited to play.
I'm so excited. I have been flipping through the game today. I have created our scenario, and genuinely and truly, I've just been, I've been looking forward to this all day. I'm really excited. At the top of our episode, why don't you take a moment to let our lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
I make games, I play games, and I do stuff. You can find me everywhere I exist at Ninja Penguin AM. If I don't exist there, you probably can't find me. That's how it goes, right?
That tracks. That seems like that's a logical thought process. I see the steps that go into that. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I'm really excited. We are playing LUMEN RYDER Core today. So we are going to tell a Kamen Rider story, and I tell you, I'm very, very excited about this fact.
Oh, this is letting me, live out childhood dreams.
That is what we want.
Being, a Kamen Rider change hero type thing. This is letting me live out dreams. So I'm super hype.
That is what I want out of Party of One. If I can, that reaction is the dream of the show. That is the goal of the show. I guess it's a little bit redundant to say, what's got you excited about playing this game this week?
I mean, I've always loved Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Magical Girl series. They've just always had this special place in my heart. In college, I made a 5-minute Power Rangers film, filmed in English, badly dubbed into Japanese, in that not the translation was off, but the syncing was intentionally off, like the old Godzilla films.
Love that. Love that.
And when I was living in Japan, I got to go to a number of Kamen Rider events and just be total stars in the eye fangirl and have an amazing time with that. And I'm just hyped to do this.
I am so happy to hear all of that. That makes me so unbelievably happy. So the thing that's got me excited about this, and in part of what I was thinking about as I was writing the scenario and everything, is I watched a movie a couple weeks ago that I described to everybody that would listen as the most genuine Kamen Rider movie that an American film studio could possibly make. I watched Blue Beetle a couple weeks ago.
Got it.
The movie, delightful, genuinely delightful movie, but the energy is so exactly that of a Kamen Rider TV show of very genuine, occasionally hokey and campy, but you can't fault it because it just believes in itself so much. And that, to me, that is the storytelling energy that I bring into every single thing that I do, which is, it is the act of what we are going to believe in ourselves to a point where we are going to unlock superpowers. And that is what we are doing here today.
What is it? Believe in the you that believes in me?
Believe in the you that believes in me.
Gurren Lagann?
I'm so stoked. This is going to be great. So, we have done some character creation prep already. The game includes a tremendous amount of setting material and tables for you to roll on to create the premise of your RYDER TV show. So talk to me, since you rolled the dice and came up with this. Talk to me about like the premise of our heroes, what your concept is, and a little bit about the world that your character inhabits, and then introduce us to your character.
All right. My character is Eddie Endo, any pronouns, also known as Lumen Rider Gallant. Their catchphrase, "You are what you make of your life."
Great catchphrase. Top tier catchphrase. Unbelievable catchphrase.
And in like the very like shonen anime hero type, they just want to create a better world, but are like afraid they're not going to be strong enough to protect those that live there.
Mm-hmm.
And they live. Let's see. He lives in a what is it? Oh, gets his powers from dinosaurs, because you know what? Dinosaurs are so freaking cool.
Yeah, right. I saw that on the thing, and I was like, that's sick. And also, I'm just going to make the villain also dinosaur themed, because I think that our show is just dinosaur themed from top to bottom, because that is very, very, that's fun to me, and that's a space that I want to play in today.
I love that, and I'm so here for it. And like, you know, let's go.
Let's go.
The source of our power comes from remnants from another universe. So you know what? When that asteroid hit, that changed dinosaurs, and that's how I get powers now.
That's great. That's great. This also opens us up to our villainous organization, which is we randomly rolled. Our villainous organization was a greedy corporation that also wants to create a better world for humanity, which I think is a very good contrast. There's a very compelling hook there that we both want the same thing, but in vastly different goals, and one of us is just achieving it through the most evil means possible. The unique trait of this particular organization was that they were originally meant to protect the world. And the fact that they were originally meant to protect that and they want to create a better world is like, to me, peak. It's peak like Justice Lords. You know, we are going to reshape the world. The only way to keep the world safe is if we rule everything. I named this organization Utopian International LLC. And they are specifically, so there's an asteroid that hit. Dinosaur DNA activated in a bunch of people. And now there are riders, and there are also kaiju out in the world.
I almost feel like it was asteroid hit, changed dinosaurs, and then, you know, they went extinct. And then a bunch of archaeologists, not archaeologists, paleontologists went off, dug up some dinosaurs, got affected, and that kind of opened up the powers.
That's great.
That's my headcanon.
That's great. No, that's very, very good. I like that a lot. That's a good, the idea of like finding old fossils, and then those fossils unlock these awesome powers. That also kind of gives us a little bit of a, Jeff will always be a sucker for this, and therefore this is kind of Jeff pointing at a butterfly a little bit and saying, is this a Dragon Ball?
Absolutely.
This gives us a little bit of a Dragon Ball of now there's like magically powered objects for people to chase after in a globe hopping adventure. And that's just good times. That's just a good series premise is what that is. So
and, maybe that corporation thought by collecting those magical artifacts, they could protect humanity better.
Yes.
Who knows?
I'm also knowing the notes that I made about the boss that spoiler alert, you're gonna fight a cool monster today. I don't know if that's ruining the experience telling you that up front, but
nope, I'm here for this monster fight.
But the monster that I made, like, I think I know exactly. I think that it's half that they've been collecting these fossils and hoarding them because they think that it's the way for them to save the world. It's also that they have been cybernetically enhancing the dino beasts or the
that
dino
tracks.
people.
This tracks.
They've been, plugging a bunch of computer. So it's dino riders versus like cyborg dinosaur kaiju fighters. Like it's there was a cartoon on when I was a kid. I don't remember the name of it. Somebody listening to this episode will tell me that was dinosaurs that were also cyborgs. All I remember is that they were like, it was like a T-Rex with a robot arm and a Saiyan scouter, and that's all I remember. But like that image is burned into my head, and I think that's the kind of aesthetic of what the villains of this particular series look like. It's like we put a cable arm onto a dinosaur that's also a person, and that's probably the best thing to do to help the world, right? That's what we need.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. I'm excited. You also have an ally, and I want to talk through a little bit about like maybe where we are in our theoretical season of TV, and also like the once I introduce this character, like what our relationship is to one another. I randomly, there's a bunch, like I said, there's a bunch of random tables to kind of create like an ally character. These are your non-powered people that help out your rider as you fight monsters. This is Hideki Higurashi. His catchphrase is, the answer lies in the books, as always. He is an academic researcher. He is a bystander that got pulled in by accident to the battle between the dinosaurs and Utopian. Should I say it was Utopian he was dragged into the battle between the Riders and Utopian International. He is like an academic researcher in one of their like libraries or something. His goal is really just to survive. He is worried that he's going to lose everything he cares about because now he is locked in this very, very intense life or death battle. And he is obsessed with exposing Utopian for all that it really is. You know, he is your relentless researcher that everybody's like, we aren't listening to you. You've gone rogue. And Nessie's like, I have the files to back up. I can prove it all.
He's every scientist in every disaster film.
Yes, he's every scientist that has ever talked about Godzilla is what he is very specifically. And the two details about him that I am very delighted about, because I rolled this randomly. The two details that popped up that fill my heart with joy is that Hideki is, his fashion is sexy and revealing, which is to say that he is the improbable beefcake character with like a chiseled jaw that just exists for no real reason. And B, he has an obsession with eating. So I think about like the Fast and the Furious movies, how Tyrese's character is just constantly like snacking on something. I think that's the visual at play here. It's that he's constantly got like a snack that he is currently like unwrapping and eating when he's standing in the background of a shot.
But because he's eating snacks, he's sexually revealing. He is constantly dripping, barbecue sauce on his shirt and then having to take off his shirt.
There it is. That is very, very good. It's yes, he's constantly having to take off his shirt because he dripped. It's every episode. It is like a running gag that like part where either he drips food on his shirt, or in the battle, like he gets blasted with goop and he's like, my shirt. That's very, very, very funny. All right. So what do we think? Like, how did you come to meet? Like, how did your character come to meet Hideki? Like, what's the relationship between Eri and Hideki?
They started off just not really knowing each other, but Eddie used to work as a vending machine repair / restock person. So they'd be like filling up the vending machine at the research facility, or repairing all the vending machines. And I think it was, put the money in, and something gets stuck one day.
Mm-hmm.
And these are Japanese vending machines. They don't typically break.
Right.
So, like, I think at that point, Hideki's like, what's going on? Calls in for maintenance. And that's how they actually meet.
And that's how they meet. And I think that, like, in the tradition of toku shows, I think it is very much, as you are repairing the vending machine, a monster erupts, you transform, and that's when he gets pulled into things, is very much He happened to be there
100%.
and now he's your sidekick. Like, now he is your sidekick mentor figure.
You know about my secret, therefore you got to stick around.
Yep. And he's like, wait, but you can protect me while I expose Utopian International for what they've been doing behind the scenes. See, okay, and then maybe that's like how you learn the identity of the villains beyond just like the one-off monsters that showed up in the first few episodes is like...
Yeah, because I think, especially because they keep coming up around these the Utopian International research facilities, but there's like no pattern to them. They just, monsters will show up there. Yeah.
I really like that. That's a great there's a great energy there that I think is really compelling. Like, that's a good narrative structure. And that kind of pushes us towards what we are going to be setting up today. So I think the opening shot of our episode, the opening beat of our episode is... there is a hand, like, it's got to be like the handoff, like we see the handoff of one of these fossils, right? I think it is a local university is what I'm going to say. We are in our city location is that we are in like an eco-friendly oceanside city. So I am imagining that it is like a science town, very specifically, like a lot of like it's very
clean tech.
Yeah. And then there's a STEM school in our city, and they are receiving one of these fossils, and it is in like a sealed container, and we see a group of these, very nervous looking researchers handling this with extreme care when like what should happen, but obviously there is an explosion, and they turn and they look, and they're transferring it from a truck to a truck. It's like a truck to truck transfer. They have closed the door of the second truck that is like a university owned truck. There's an explosion. They turn just in time to see the university truck's door melt. Like it just like a hole melts in the door. Out comes sort of a gigantic lizard man. So like I'm thinking like 7-ish feet tall, giant, big honking metal gauntlets. A dinosaur face jumps down, swoops his tail around, and on his wrists, on the wrists of these gauntlets, are big, kind of like almost like shotgun style cannons connected to tubes that connect onto his back, kind of like Bane. And he like cocks one of his fists, points it at the second truck, the one that is in a position to give chase, blasts a spray of acid, blowing up the tire of this truck, and then makes his escape with the fossil. And this is how we have introduced our monster of the week. And there is chaos, there is crisis. Where is Eri? Where is Eri before when he catches word of this? What is going on in your life? Where do we see our protagonist in the first phase of our episode?
I think the same way you meet Hideki is, stocking up a vending machine so that it's ready to go. Here's the explosion, leaves it half stocked and open, and just starts running to go see what's happening.
Hideki Hideki waits until you're out of view, grabs a candy bar, stuffs it into the pocket of his lab coat, and then runs after you. So we are going to do a little bit of investigation. Where the game that we're playing, Lumen Rider Core, is in development. So we don't necessarily, some of the rules are not in place. So we're just going to gesture towards some of the investigation, because obviously you have to find out what this monster's weakness is before you can do that. But you arrive at the scene of this these exploded trucks, which is also an opportunity for me to place us in a random location, which I'm very excited about, which I love that the game includes random rules for where do you find yourself at a given moment. We are rolling 2d6. What is around these trucks? That is a 2 and a 5. This is a Riverside Auditorium. Okay. That's interesting. Talk to me about what visuals pop into your head when you think about a Riverside, when you think about like what are we seeing around in this Riverside Auditorium with like the parking lot of this like large sort of collegiate auditorium space that's like against the crashing waves of the river.
I think let's see. Riverside. So you can see the, colors of the university, with their mascot of a dolphin.
Love
and it. It's an ocean thing, so like dolphins make sense.
Yeah. I'm just happy that we know what the mascot is. That made I can't believe that I didn't think to ask that, and I'm delighted that we figured it out.
And the colors are like dark ocean blue and like a seafoam green as a light color.
Yep.
So you see that all over the campus on flags and banners and stuff. You've got the loading dock to the auditorium right next to the parking lot. The auditorium's actually really, really pretty, like newly renovated, state-of-the-art media center. Because despite the fact this is a STEM college, they actually have a very good arts program.
Sure, absolutely. The detail that I want to throw in is I'm thinking about this auditorium and I'm thinking about the fact that they were receiving this fossil. This is a I don't remember the term now. Like this is it's like almost the equivalent. It's like the archaeological, paleontological equivalent of like an operating theater where like they are doing work for an audience. So there are these big LED screens up so that you can kind of see as they show off the details of the various fossils and objects that they unearth. You can kind of see that. So I'm imagining these big LED screens that like are currently turned off, but like are connected to the AV system so they could turn on at a moment's notice, which might come up later. Who's to say?
I love this.
I love randomly deciding on locations. It makes me really happy. So, you come here, you see the 2 ruined trucks. There are people scrambling. I think campus security has kind of like taped off the area. You and Hideki are able to sneak around. And I'm going to ask you have a number of skills on your character sheet that are like your investigation type skills. What skill is going to give you a hint in this moment towards the particular weakness of this particular monster?
One of my skills is urban environments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm going to use that.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, just to like identify where this thing could have come from. Because there's only so many places on this campus that like would have made sense.
So, you are able to survey the environment and you're able to spot like you kind of know the general flow of the city. The other thing that you're able to spot specifically like in the environment is there's like you can see the damage to the trucks and you don't necessarily see a lot of damage elsewhere, which says that this creature, which clearly is spraying acid, which is very worrying, isn't damaging things in the area. So wherever you need to confront this thing and find this thing, or however it's getting from where it came from to where it is, it needs a place where where it can travel with where it can travel and it can carry like acid, poison, toxic waste materials without like causing obvious damage and leaving a trail, right? Like you can see, you're like, it's got to find a way to get from place to place that where that kind of acid and that kind of toxic waste wouldn't be immediately apparent and noticeable.
Yeah, so it's not like it's dripping it everywhere. It's much more contained and like focused, it seems.
And like and to build on that, I think, and before I ask you to use another one of your skills, I think to build on that even further, like you can see that like there are areas around where you can kind of figure out where it sprayed from, because it was like in those spots it was dripping, but it's not like there's a clear trail, which means that it found somewhere where it could travel from place to place without dripping this acid and leaving a clear cookie crumb trail to its ultimate location. So it's traveling somehow from place to place. And like you said earlier, the General University, it's probably not coming from close by. Do you want to use another one of your skills?
I so wish I had mechanics and repair right now, but I
had to look and see if Hideki has mechanics and repair, and I also do not. I do have science.
I mean, I think since this is the Riverside auditorium, I think following the river seems like the best bet.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's not
necessarily a skill thing. It's just brain says this is probably the best way to look.
That makes a lot of sense. And what you notice on the river very specifically is one of the features of this university is like a water treatment plant, which means there are very, very cutting edge pipes and tunnels that like flow underneath much of the university and kind of like flow throughout the city, collecting water and waste. You can kind of see one of those tunnels behind a waterfall, because if you're going to put something somewhere, you may as well put it behind a waterfall. That's just good environmental storytelling. You can see like one of these tunnels opening up.
That's my pop culture skill of knowing that that's where secret bases live.
That's 100% true. You can see one of these tunnels like is dumping water, like is like an output tunnel. There's like an output pipe dumping water out, creating a waterfall that like is connected to the pipes that are kind of running through the city.
And Hideki's still around, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's the pipes, isn't it?
I really wish that it wasn't. I would really love for it not to be the pipes. But unfortunately, it certainly seems like the pipes are the safest way for this thing to get wherever it's going and move from place to place.
And it's efficient because they go everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It has access to the entire city. And that unfortunately means that if we want to give this thing chase, we have to descend into the sewers and give chase of this thing.
Well, let's go.
There's no chance that you don't need my help on this one, right? I think I'm being overly optimistic with the belief that maybe you're fine on your own on this one.
I mean, do you have a reading of all the pipes of the city? Because if you do, run me through that, and that'll be great.
I don't.
Well, then I guess we're crawling through the pipes on our own, and
quietly and sadly unwraps his candy bar, takes a bite, and we swipe over to the two of you in the sewers, investigating where you are going to find and how you are going to beat this acid spraying dino monster. I'm trying to decide.
That's not a problem.
If there's a skill that I want to use, or if you have another skill you want to use to try and unearth this thing's weakness, or if we want to wait until we find the thing to drop the weakness.
I think we need to get closer. Like maybe if it's we can find other aspects of it. Like, is it, like what kind of footprints does it have? Maybe that'll tell us something.
Yeah, okay, I really like that. And I've got Hideki's got archaeology and anthropology, so I can use a point of that to like reveal something. Specifically, as you are like you spot it immediately, right? I think that you're both able to spot it, and Hideki kind of like leans in. It is there are not quite footprints, but claw marks on the floor, like on the bottom, like the pavement of this like sewer tunnel. It is kind of like two big claw marks that like mirror footprints, but like it's a claw that is digging into the pavement. And I think Hideki has his big messenger bag and like stops and looks up at you. Aha. The answer, as always, lies in the books. And we get the dramatic shot of him flipping open a textbook and pointing at it. You see that claw? You see what that looks like to me?
Well, it's the 3 style, right? Not the 4.
Yes, correct. That to me looks like a Dilophosaurus.
The spitting ones, right?
And I think like his eyes go to the acid spitting ones. Aha. This is what we needed to know. We've got claw marks. We can follow it. We know where it's going. We can track these claw marks, at least in theory, but that means we need to be careful because I have a feeling it's got a lot more acid than it used on those 2 trucks, if you catch my drift.
Oh, for sure. You're the science guy. What's the thing you use to negate acid?
That's a great question.
Because, there's like the whole like mega volcano thing when you're a kid. Right?
Yeah.
That's how it balances the equation and make explosions happen?
Hideki is stopping and thinking about this, and not Jeff trying to quickly Google how to neutralize acid. It's an antacid. That's right. That's what it is. I think he pauses for a second and like scrambles, reaches into his pocket, and pulls out the one thing that someone that is constantly snacking will almost certainly have on their person. And I say this as somebody that is chronically snacking. He pulls out a box of Tums. He pulls out like a box of antacids, a box of stomach chews. And he's like, well, the thing that I use when I have acid is common stomach chews.
So I just chuck them at this thing?
I don't think that one box is going to be enough. You're going to need probably a large amount of it. If we can gain access to a large enough supply of it, we should be able to negate the acid on a pretty substantial scale, especially if we can crush it up and convert it into some kind of a spray.
So we're fighting a spray with a spray. Got it.
That seems like it might be our best bet.
Well, I guess once we find this thing, then I'll leave you to making that spray.
If you get me to a laboratory, I think I can whip something up. I can't promise, but I think I can potentially whip something up if I've got the materials on hand.
Well, let's get you to the lab and figure out how to lure this thing out. Do you know what these dinosaurs eat?
I believe they are carnivorous, and if not, Jeff assumes they're carnivorous because they killed that guy in Jurassic Park.
Well, that and with the 3-toe claws, that makes sense.
Are you proposing that we try to lure this thing out with a little bit of bait?
I mean, you're the master snacker.
I am the master snacker. And I think he reaches into his bag. I think I do have cooking as one of my skills specific. I do. He reaches into his bag, takes out a Tupperware container. I was really hoping to save these for later. And he pops open, even with the overwhelming smell of like chemically treated water, the smell of delicious, spiced, I'm going to say like dried, almost like squid jerky. And it's got this heavy like spice to it. The smell of this immediately fills the air, and it smells delicious. I mean, this is, he's like, I'd been curing this for weeks. This was going to be the highlight of my week. It was going to be my Friday snack before I headed into the weekend. Reluctantly hands it over to you. If you want to wave this around and see if we can draw out a monster, I will, I guess, accept that as a possibility.
All right.
And we wave this around, and sure enough, like, I think this is when we start combat. because I think that we get the predator POV, right? We see the monster stalking because we see the monsters
lines coming out from the
yeah, and we kind of get the HUD we kind of get the HUD, the video game HUD, as it's like pulling up Terminator graphics of like target acquired, eliminate quickly. And then bursting out from a hallway is our Dilophosaurus monster. It is big. It's got the clawed feet. It's got those big metal gauntlets with the acid cannons on them. It's got a big tail. It's got the gigantic legs. It is stalking, and it makes a lunge directly at you, holding the Tupperware container. And with that, we start our big boss battle combat. All right. So when we start combat, we have decided the location. In this case, it is like the tunnels of a water treatment plant / like the laboratories of said treatment plant. We are underneath and inside of a big water treatment plant. So like generic TV show laboratory props are abound. So once we start a combat, are you activating one of your forms for this battle?
What I'd like to do is have something like tail swipe. I do a roll out of the way, stand up, and at that point, that's when I'm going to shift into my rider form.
Great.
My first rider form.
Yeah, you tail swipe. It falls into the water. It then like claws its way out, pulls its way up in one big jump, and the two of you are staring at each other. Describe to me your transformation sequence and describe to me your rider outfit.
So this is the Blitz form outfit, and it's a very fast styled dinosaur. So Omethid, like the little ones that are just like kind of like giant rooster or ostriches.
Sure.
And the way it gets on is stand there in a very imposing stance, and the audience sees kind of a paintbrush and pen outlining armor parts like the arm, and then on the other arm and the legs, and then as the color goes across it, it glows and attaches itself to my body, turning into actual like shiny armor.
That's sick. I love that.
Like the signature color is like teal. It's bright and colorful, and it's got like cape wings, because again, this is a kind of proto ostrich thing. So it's got like a short half cape in like a shimmery silver, and once everything's attached, kind of stand up and all right, Dilophosaurus, you are what you make of your life. Let's go. I don't know what you make of yours, but I know I'm making a hero of mine.
And it is going to rush at you, which means combat is underway. So when combat begins, we have chosen our location. We have chosen our battle. We've chosen which form we're both using. And I think we're going to start at, I think this is probably mid-range. There are 3 ranges. There's close, mid, and far. I think we're at mid-range right now and we can close in. Do you have an idea of which of the two of you goes first, you or the monster?
I think I would possibly go first, being that this is my speed form.
That feels right. So, in a single round of combat, allies go first, riders second, and combat men go last, which I will introduce in a moment. Your ally is going to go first. So Hideki, I'm going to roll 2d6. I'm going to add a skill modifier to the result. This is going to be, I think he is scrambling to get to a nearby laboratory, I think is what I'm describing this action as. I think this is, probably strategy, is like figuring out where the laboratory is for him to cook up this antacid spray. So I'm going to roll 2d6. That is a 7. Okay, that's not bad. That's 3 assists. I add 1 to my risk meter. Risk is when I get to 3 risk, I am removed from the scene. So I've got 1 risk meter. I think what it is I trip an alarm, which is also going to allow me to introduce our combat men to the scene in a little bit. I trip an alarm and but I get into a laboratory, I think is what Hideki is doing. And I get 3 assists. So I'm going to give you 2 armor and a combo. I think is what I want to. No, actually, you know what? I'm just going to give you an extra turn. I think I am specifically because Hideki tripped this alarm, I think it is buying you time. Maybe we see the monster its head turns and tilts towards where Hideki is. We get a bunch of shots of henchmen peeking up, grabbing their little laser rifles and starting to get into position. Everybody's eyes are on Hideki, so you've got extra time to act, which means it is now your turn and you can act twice.
All right. I think I'm going to summon my my spear.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of run at this thing, because that way the spear keeps kind of slightly further away. And see if I can get it to just, ideally, I doubt this is going to kill it, but, just get it so it's not able to move as much. So I have, I can control where it's going to go.
Sure. So you're staying at mid-range. You're going to make your attack. So make that attack action. Your power is 1, your speed is 3, and your focus is 2. So roll your attack stat. Roll that many d6s.
Which one is my attack stat for this?
I'd call this either speed or focus, whichever you want to take. Probably speed.
Speed seems to be my thing.
Yeah.
So 3d6. Wow, that's a really low roll. 5.
5 high result. Says on 5. What happens on a 5? This is you are attacking you are doing an attack target action. On 5, you're going to deal your weapons harm, but also receive harm from them depending on range. You lash out with your spear. And you catch the Dilophosaurus monster. You throw the acid spitter into a wall. The wall crumbles around it. But as it is flailing, it is going to wildly spray acid in every direction. How much harm are you doing to this monster? What's your weapon harm?
2.
All right, I'm going to take 2 damage. That brings me down to 4 armor. And you are going to take 4 harm as this acid cannon sprays wild.
And that's 2 armor?
Yes.
Okay.
But the thing that you notice is you notice 2 things immediately. One, there are canisters on this monster's back, and one of them drains out. There are 4 canisters on its back, and one of them drains. And also you see as it drains, the monster itself starts to move a little slower. It gets heavier is how best to describe it. It gets slower. It's almost as though it's got a limited ammo supply and also a battery that is draining as it sprays acid specifically.
So the acid is its battery as well.
Mm-hmm. And so with that, you have a second action.
So I think I cannot use the special attacks yet because I don't have combo, right? Correct.
Okay. And the way that you earn game term explanation for the listener: combo is a currency that you accrue during combat. You accrue combo, and it allows you to activate special abilities on your character sheet. It's basically you building up to do your cool special rider attacks. And the way that you get them is every time you get a full success, which is the highest result of 6, you get +1 combo for every result of 6. And if your result is a failure, which is highest result 1 to 3, you get a combo for every 1 to 3 result. So the action that you took was the one circumstance where you don't earn combo.
Yep. I think I'm going to try to like, get behind the head, because I'm like, yes, it's spraying from everywhere, but at least if I'm coming at it from behind as more of a grapple,
Sure, that makes sense.
then it's slightly less likely, or more like I can be like control the direction it's spraying and not on me.
Yeah, that makes
typically
total sense.
things don't spray like directly behind them unless it's a skunk.
That makes total sense. That makes total sense. I'm going to wing this a little bit and say this is a move action, but like also, but I'm going to rule it as we're going to make it opposed roll. Your speed versus my power.
All right.
And if you're successful, I can't use my acid cannon weapon next turn. That is a 6.
I rolled two sixes. Well,
Two
high roll
sixes?
is 6. Yeah.
2 6s. You beat mine. I've only rolled 1, so that means that you have perfectly angled yourself behind the Dino Man as he is like flailing out and spraying acid in every direction. And at this moment, we cut to Hideki being chased down a hallway, Han Solo style, by an entire mob of... How many combat men do I have in this moment? Let me check. 10 combat men are chasing him at this moment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the way this works is I roll a d6 for every combat man in play, which means I'm rolling 10 d6, which is going to be immensely satisfying. Roll results of 1 to 2 mean nothing. So these 5 dice do nothing. For the most part, I think most of the henchmen are just chasing Hideki around, who's actually doing a pretty good job distracting them. On a 3 to 4, I can choose if they are strategy combat men, fighting combat men, or support combat men. I am going to... I'm going to say that these are probably pretty much all fighting combat men is what I'm going to say, which is to say that the next harm that Dilophosaurus man takes is going to be reduced by 2, and the next attack that he makes is going to be increased by 3 as he scrambles around. Which brings us to the top of the round. Our ally makes an action. I'm going to roll me 2d6 plus focus. That is 7. What is Hideki's? Or rather, his 2 plus support, because I am now helping you by distracting these guards and using creative thinking and friendship, which brings us to a 9, which means that I think I have 3 assists to give you. I'm going to ask you this. Do you have the rulebook in front of you?
I do.
Do you want to look at the approaches? For allies. This is on page 50 of the game book, and decide what assists you want Hideki to give you. I think I've. Do you want to decide what assists you're getting? I think you can choose from the support column, and you have 3 points to gain.
Where is... Oh, found it.
Oh, yes. Wait, yeah. Support. Yeah, you're choosing the support options, and you have 3 assists to choose from.
Let's go reduce harm, since the next attack from the source is going to hurt more.
That makes sense.
So that's 1. Can he add to his own assist track?
Yeah.
Okay, let's add 1 for theirs to get closer to getting the anti-acid weapon.
Sure. And I rolled one of the dice I rolled was a 6, so I get to bump that up to 2.
And let's go with add 1d1. 1 die, there we go, to Ryder's action.
Great. That sounds good. Which means that it is now your turn. Take your attack against the Dilophosaurus man. Your back, his back is to you. He is spraying acid wildly in front of him and trying to you've kind of got him in a grapple. You're behind him. You got him going grappled a little bit. So what are you doing?
Let's do my 1 cost special, the Lumen Dash. And because I'm already behind it, the goal at this point is just kind of run it into the wall further.
Sure, that makes sense.
Because then it's not spraying at me, and it's, interacting with the wall as well. So, effect: deal 1 harm to an enemy within close range, and then move to or teleport to any location. And my image for this is kind of that Sonic the Hedgehog revving up before starting to run.
Sure.
And then starts to run, and then you get the speed lines going, and then just slam into a wall.
Love it. I'm going to pull on my favorite thing in the world, which is fighting games. And I think that we see Hideki running, getting chased by these combatmen, and through the wall. You don't just go into the wall, you go through the wall, and are suddenly in front of Hideki, having plowed this thing through this wall into this location. What distance do you want to take from the monster at this moment? Close, medium, or far?
Actually, can we change one thing? Instead of running in front of Hideki, have him run right behind to interrupt the henchman.
That's great. That's perfect. I love that. Yep, absolutely. He turns back, sees the henchman, sees you, gives you a 2-finger salute, and keeps running to a nearby laboratory. Yeah,
I love that. And I think I'm gonna go to what's the range on the henchman?
I'm going to say right now the henchmen are medium to you right now. I think you're close to the Dilophosaurus. The henchmen are medium to you.
I kind of want to teleport into the henchman area.
That would put you close to the henchman and then far from the Dilophosaurus, I think, is how I'm going to measure that out, I think, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm just a little worried because that means the Dilophosaurus is closer to Hideki, but I think he can make this.
I think he can be okay. I think he'll be all right. We'll see. It's going to be spotty for Hideki because I see what next round is going to look like. But I also think that I think the Dilophosaurus gets up, having been pretty badly beaten down, and looks in your direction.
Yeah, I'm the one that hurt you. You should come after me.
Yeah, its eyes are on you. You are the threat here, and also it recognizes the glowing fossil that is giving you your powers. It wants that fossil. So it is going to move into medium range and kind of set its acid cannons upon you. Which brings us to the top of the round. Hideki's going to make his action. He has to take fighting here because his other 2 approaches are used up, and he can only reuse approach when all 3 of his approaches are taken. So, and fighting is his worst ability. So that means plus 2d6 plus 1. That's a 7. And I am going to, because it would get us to 5, which I'm going to rule for this particular episode is going to fill up the track a little bit. I think I might have him create the spray. I think it is, we get him, kicking down the door of a lab. He knocks out a henchman, and he starts filling out the spray and piecing things together so that next turn he has your spray cannon to disable this acid.
I like it.
All right. So you are close. You are in close range with the combat men. You are medium range with the Dilophosaurus who's pointing acid cannons at you. What are you doing?
I think at this point it's time to switch forms.
Okay.
Because I know that this one's gonna hurt, and instead of being the speed focus, I think I'm going to go to the balanced form, which is the vibrant form. So again, kind of stand up, chamber and pose, call on the vibrant form, and the cape, disappears. And basically turns into a giant hammer, spike hammer looking thing. And instead you get, the cape furls itself up and becomes spiked shoulder armor instead.
That's sick. I love that.
And, all the other parts become, scaly, more armored looking, and, call down this hammer that, reach out from behind, because that is, in fact, that was my tail. I'm an ankylosaur.
Yeah, that makes sense. That feels right. That feels good. I like this. I love this. So you transform, you shift forms, and I am going to roll a big pile of dice for our combat men. 2 dice do nothing. Let's see. These dice do something, and these dice do more. Okay. I don't think these are fighting at this point. I think that this is let me look at my options, because I have here 4 partial successes and 4 full successes. So let me see what I can. I think I'm gonna say that most of these are probably strategy henchmen, which just means that more henchmen are arriving. So next round I'm gonna roll some extra dice. And also, I think I'm gonna give my Dilophosaurus 4 combo. I think that the support combat men have arrived to give combo, which opens up some of my special abilities next turn.
Fair.
All right. I think bursting through the door with a modified fire extinguisher is Hideki. I'm going to roll 2d6 plus support for creative gadgetry. That is a full success, which is 4 assists. And I think I'm going to give you 4 combo. I want you also to have access 3 combo and 2 armor. I'm going to give you 3 combo and 2 armor.
Cool.
So you have enough for one of your super abilities and also 2 extra armor. And that means that it is your turn.
Well then, I actually feel like I just want to use the hammer without using the special, but just because the hammer has a really cool effect.
I mean, you can save that combo doesn't go away, so you can save it and use it whenever you want.
So I think I'm going to use my hammer, kind of swing at the combat around me. I don't know how group combat kind of works in this, but
you are going to make, there's a specific action for it. You are going to make, I believe this is a forceful attack.
Yes.
Or a power attack. Make me a power attack.
All right. 2d6. Power is 2. Let's see. 3, 4, 2. I can do math. Wait.
So that is a high result of 4.
High result of 4. Yeah.
Which means you are going to deal your weapons full harm to a group of enemy combat men, which means you deal, how much damage is that?
2 harm.
So you're going to knock out,
matters.
You're going to knock out 2 of these combat men. You knock out 2 of these combat men, bringing us to 12 henchmen, which is that's great. I love just how many henchmen are on this scene right now, scrambling. You deal that, and then take harm from the enemy. And I think that this is going to be, you're going to take 3 harm as, you're going to take 3 harm. And because this monster is firing into a sea of its own henchmen, 3 more of these combat men are also going to take harm and get eliminated.
Well, kind of relatedly, the forceful moves an enemy to where I want them to be. So yeah, the plan was basically use the hammer, knock the guys out, and then use them to like block more of the acid if possible.
Oh yeah, well then even great. Then I'm going to knock out 3 more of them because it was firing at no. It's at 9. There are 9 henchmen left. The monster is going to spray at you. Is going to continue to spray at you. Or do I want to use one of my special abilities? Let me think this through. You know what? I'm using one of my special abilities because I got to do this. It rears back and it flexes and it screams, and the face flaps pop into place, I am activating LUMEN buff, which increases all of my stats across all forms for the rest of the fight.
Oof, brutal.
And that is spending the 3 of the 4 combo that I had on hand. And then the combat men make a move. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a markedly bad roll. Oh, that is specifically a very bad roll. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 nothings, 3 partial successes. No, 5 nothings, 3 partial successes, and 1 full success. So let me see what my options are here. I'm going to increase its harm by 1 and reduce its next harm by. I'm going to give it 1 combo and 3 armor. No. Yep, that's what I said. And that's what I'm going with.
All right.
Okay. Top of the round. How do we want to mechanize strategy on this? How do we want to mechanize? I think by this point, Hideki is able to like sneak to you and get you has the fire extinguisher ready. When you can get this guy to 0 armor, you can fully neutralize him, is what I'm going to say.
That makes sense.
Yes. Which means it is your action.
What's it currently at harm wise?
He is currently at 6 armor.
6 armor. Kind of wanted to do the regen, but see, Diplosaurus is at far range still. I think I'm just gonna keep using the hammer and just kind of bash through the combat men to get closer to the Diplosaurus.
Okay, sure. Roll me that power attack.
5 high.
5 high. Same deal as before. It is going to oh, wait a second. Yeah, you are at far distance from the Diplo okay. This is actually great for you. This is actually great for you because there's currently no one in your range that can deal. I'm going to say take one harm from from being in locked combat with the combat men, but like the Diplosaurus is spraying acid at you and like not reaching you. It's just kind of damaging the facility. It can't hurt you at far range.
Oh, good to know.
And it's going to, but on its turn, it is going to move into mid range and take aim at you with its acid cannons. So like next turn, it will spray acid on you. So you deal 2 harm to the combat men, knocking them down to 7. I am going to say that it knocks out 3 more of these. So there are only 4 combat men left as it is just continuing to spray. There is panic. There is chaos. And they are going to add 3 to its next harm.
Okay.
What's your next action?
Right, Hideki's just kind of standing by.
I think he's fully hiding out. I think his performed his part and is now fully hiding out.
Yep, he's just standing by until I'm ready to, for the thing.
Yep. Actually, let me go ahead and roll for him because he does give you mechanical benefits.
Okay.
He's going to roll support here, so that is a 7, 8, 9. Is that a 9 or a 10? Let me confirm. That's a 9. So on a 7 to 9 on an ally action, you get 3 assists. And I think I'm going to give you an extra turn here. I think that's the way to go.
I think that works. In that case, I'm going to use my 3-cost special, and this is just Ankylosaurus kind of being a giant tank and battering ram, move or teleport with it to close range of a target and deal 3 harm. So I'm going to do that to the Diplosaurus.
Okay, that brings it down to 3 armor.
And as the second action, I'm going to use my hammer, bash the Diplosaurus, and 5 high, to harm and move the enemy where I want to. I want that thing to be far.
Yep, you hurdle it backwards. It crashes through walls. The remaining combat men are scrambling and running towards it. Let me roll them some dice. They are going to add even more damage to its next attack roll as it moves again into mid-range, putting it now at +7 harm. They are gearing up for a very, very large attack, but it has to take its movement action to get into position to fire this acid cannon at you. Hideki rolls at 10 on fighting. I think strategically trips some of these combat men, gives you, how many assists is that? That's 4 assists, I think. And I'm going to what do I want to do here? I'm gonna give you another extra turn and give you an extra die. You have an extra die on your next action, which means it is your turn to attack.
Yep. I guess I'll use one action to. Actually, can I throw my hammer?
Yeah, give me a speed. We'll switch that to speed, or we'll switch that to focus, I think. But yeah,
I mean, vibrant form, it's balanced, so it doesn't matter which one.
For sure.
3 and 6, so high as 6.
High as 6. That is a full success. You tear through the armor of this thing, and what happens next as you disable this? What I'm going to say here, because you uncovered the secret of this monster's weakness, I'm going to activate one of its special abilities, which is to say, it activates Just Live More. Once per fight, set your armor to 5 when it is reduced to 0 or below. You smash it through a wall, it stands up, it starts exploding, it's blinking red, and then it gets sprayed top to bottom with a chemical coolant, and it just collapses in a heap. The idea of the weakness just undercutting that cool moment, very satisfying to me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I love the blinky starting to like charge a thing. Nope.
Out cold. Which means you have defeated the monster. The remaining combat men scramble, and the boss battle is defeated. I think we watch it like painstakingly turn back into like a cybernetically modified human. And what is this moment between you and this converted monster before we get our closing beat of the episode?
Hey, Hideki, I need one of those snacks.
He reaches in, grabs a bag of chips, throws it in your direction.
Here, I think you'll need this. You took a lot. I would have preferred if I had a liquid for you, but best I can do.
After I tried to kill you repeatedly, you would show me kindness.
Of course. How else is the world going to be better? Is it if we're constantly trying to destroy each other? That's not making things better. Remember, your life is what you make of it. If you make it full of violence, your life is full of violence. But if you make things with kindness, then I've made the world a kinder place. I think I win.
Quietly looks at this bag of chips. And we get a shot of those combat men coming back. They're coming back to collect their robot. They come scrambling, and then the monster is gone. He has wandered off into the night. You have convinced this cyborg mercenary to disappear to give up his life with Utopian International. So he sneaks off. What is the closing beat of our episode?
I think it's Hideki and Eddie at the bookshop that they often hang out at, because Hideki, he collects books. Eddie doesn't really read them, but she knows it makes him happy. So, and I think it's them at the bookshop, and Eddie is just looking at, probably finding the most recent shonen manga, because that's interesting to read.
And I think the closing note is that you're reading your shonen manga, and then you hear, despite being in like a bookstore and therefore a quiet space, you hear, oh my god, I found it. You got to see this. And like opens it up to a diagram, like a historical photo of a group of like architects. And he points at one of them. And he's like, I think I know who is in charge of Utopian International. And the two of you lock eyes and we get closing credits, and that's game.
That was fun. That was amazing.
That was so much fun. I'm so happy. That was really great. Did you have a good time?
Absolutely.
I'm so glad. This was fantastic. I had a really blast playing it. Thank you so much for making this Kamen Rider series happen for me. I'm delighted.
Thank you for again, this making a childhood dream of being a Kamen Rider like a thing.
That's what I am after with the show, and I could not be happier. Thank you so much for coming on and playing with this with me. I am delighted. So, real quick before we wrap up, where can people find you online?
I exist anywhere online at Ninja Penguin AM. If I don't exist there, or if you can't find it, I don't exist there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for doing the show. This was a delight. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Akemi for coming onto the show. God damn, like, I had so much fun listening to the edit of that episode, and like the experience of playing it was joyful, and then getting to sit back and listen to this Kamen Rider battle scene play out in front of us in real time. This was spectacular. I am overjoyed. Be sure to head to bubblegumsam.itch.io to pick up your own copy of Lumen Rider Core, and be sure to follow Akemi on itch at ninjapenguinam.itch.io, and on Twitter, as long as that's still a website, at ninjapenguinam. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast. Find us on TikTok at Party of One Podcast. Find us on Tumblr at Party of One Pod. Subscribe to our newsletter at buttondown.email/partyofonepodcast. And join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. If you enjoy the show, there's a lot of ways to support it. You can support us financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or Ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. You can give us a nice iTunes review, shout us out to a friend, give us some love on social media. You can buy some Party of One merch at bit.ly/partyofonemerch. Or, if you're looking for more great podcast content, you can check out All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast that I make with my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano Saez. We take a listener-submitted prompt and spin it into an original fantasy character, populating a shared universe one story at a time. You can also check out Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is an actual play about a heartless witch, a cozy house, and the many people making their homes inside. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. Music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And unless I am mistaken, that is all we do here. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.